What I like most about working with Robert is a couple of things. One, the relatability in the context of my day-to-day work, as well as just from a personal standpoint. I enjoy that aspect. Not only do we get along, but he seems to have a grasp of what I've been facing in my career from having been there himself, not just from an academic standpoint, but from a boots on the ground, having been there himself. And then just his willingness to call out what needs to be said and not pull punches in our conversations. In the state of my career I was at is in going through a transition and trying to think of myself into a greater role than I might have previously considered it. Robert gave me the confidence and the context to actually picture myself in that role and to be confident in going to achieve it. And it's amazing to me that in a short amount of time, I went from a position of thinking I wasn't good enough to not only was I good enough, but actually being in the lead position to get that role and actually go achieve it successfully. And now we're in a discussion of execution rather than trying to figure out what to do in the first place. And it's been amazing to me, the amount of difference it's made in my career in just a short period of time. I thought coming in it was going to be mostly about professional growth, but what I've gotten out of this is actually a lot of personal growth as well, and insights on how to better manage my family life, personal life in general, in context of work. And so while I wasn't expecting to get that much from a personal standpoint, I'm thinking holistically about who I am as a person in context of my career, but that feeds into my day-to-day personal life. And as a result, I've seen an across-the-board improvement of how I want to just act as a person and as a human being. I would say balance within work life and how I interact with my career, with my family. I did not expect to have such an impact on who I am as a person out of work as it actually improved my interactions in work. My emotional intelligence, I think, has gotten a lot better. I used to always think I was a very kind of emotionally intelligent person, but I realized a lot of that was based off of what I needed, not necessarily how to ensure the people around me are successful. Putting a structure in place for how I go about interacting with my direct reports and the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, with a focus of enabling and empowering them to be successful, and changing my role, or the definition of my role, to be one of how am I making people successful around me, rather than what is my own tactical execution and results of success. And so because of those three things, I've been able to take a next step in my career that I don't think I would have made without this construct and this interaction with Robert. The biggest problem that working with Robert solved was the mentality and self-image I had of myself. I oftentimes in my career focused on my value was driven by what I could tactically deliver, not what I could strategically offer to the people around me and what I could offer as a leader. And as a result, I oftentimes would take on and do tasks because I felt like that's how I provided value. In working with Robert, the main thing that has changed is I've shifted my focus to realize that by enabling other people to be successful and to put them in a position where they can be successful, I get value and pleasure from them, seeing them succeed, and they get value and pleasure because now they are improving their own self-worth and their own growth in the company. And so it became a much less selfish interaction and more of a giving interaction. And as a result of that, I generally have better interactions with my employees, and they're much happier in the day-to-day interaction with me. What surprised me the most and made me the happiest was going through the positive intelligence framework with Robert as my coach. That was something I was not expecting coming into it. I thought I was going to get some professional career advice, and that really, that positive intelligence aspect put a construct for all the discussion around career and focus, and made me realize that for me to be successful, it's more than just an act that I do. It's about how I choose to prepare my mind day to day and make sure that I am in a good mindset to be able to be as effective as I can, and how I can get in my own ways. And so that was unexpected in our initial conversations, and it has been a huge blessing out of this whole experience. It's been wonderful to have somebody who's on my side, who is in working through difficult challenges, professional and personal life, somebody who's working and supporting me. What I did not expect necessarily to get out of this was to have the ability to believe in myself as I thought I would need it. What I found is in a leadership context, how you interact and the relationships that you have are far more important than what's on a piece of paper, the steps you follow. And that structure is important, but how you handle that as a person is the most important thing, because people are following the person, they're not following the template that person uses. And that's been something that I think I missed in my career as growing as a leader, and it's really forced me to reevaluate a lot of lessons learned in my life and apply those in different ways to a point where I think I'm ready to take a next step in my career.